So Illfonic gave me the opportunity to play Killer Klowns early, and today I want to give you an initial review of the game pre-release and tell you if I think this game is worth buying. Now keep in mind with a couple things here. First of all, by the time you're seeing this video, tomorrow, May 28th, will be the first pre-release or pre-order release date. And so that's going to run all the way until June 4th, which is the official release. Now, anytime between May 28th and June 4th, if you decide that you want to pre-order the game, then you will have a little bit early access and you can jump right in. Also, I didn't have access to any of the day one patches, so any of the minor bugs that we may have encountered while playing is something that I do want you to keep in mind, but it's not going to be something that's a big part of this review because, again, I find that a little bit unfair, and to be honest with you, for the most part, the game was actually really well done. There wasn't anything that I ran into that was like, oh my God, this game's unplayable. So for the most part, the game ran really good there. Now, I will talk about pros and cons in the game and all of that, but there's also going to be things like clown types and human types and different play styles. That is going to be something I'm going to dedicate to a whole different video because there's a lot to cover as far as the type of clowns and strategies and all of that kind of stuff. And so I definitely want to save that for a future video. Actually, I hope to have that stuff for the clowns and the humans released Tuesday. So that way, if you're looking for some tips on how to play as a clown or a human, you'll have a good guide to go by. Either way, if you like what I do here, consider subscribing, hit your notifications so you never miss a video or live stream from me, and let me know what you think about this initial release or initial review of Killer Klowns, and also let me know if you're buying the game. Big thanks. Let's go and get into it. Now, the first thing you need to know is that the game is releasing with 5 maps. So we have the amusement park, Top of the World, which was the favorite hangout spot or makeout spot for the teenagers in the movie. We have the suburbs, which is home to Debbie's house and the Big Top Burger. We have downtown Crescent Cove and the Clown Summer Camp, which is, in my opinion, kind of like Illfonic's love letter to Friday the 13th, of course, in a Killer Klowns type of way. Now, you have 5 clown types and 5 human types, but you're not going to have all of these things unlocked right off the rip. As a matter of fact, the leveling up in this game and the customization that comes along with that is actually a big part of the game. So when you start off as a clown, you're going to have your basic cotton candy ray gun and you're going to have a mallet. But as you start to level up, you're of course going to get the popcorn bazooka, boxing gloves, and other stuff. But again, you got to level up in order to do that. This is huge because this is something that I've talked about extensively with TCM. And while I'm not comparing the two games, not right now at least, it is something that I like to see. And I hope that they will even expand upon that. And I'm sure they will. Actually, they've already said as much. Not only will they have, of course, DLC, but they're going to have a year one roadmap that will be released shortly. Plenty of customization options. From the clowns to the humans, you can customize everything from their hair to the eyes to the shoes to the outfit. And of course, you do have Mike and Debbie, which are special characters in the game. And I believe those are just pre-order bonuses too. And of course, they have other clown suits and stuff that are pre-order bonuses as well. So tons of customization and tons of things you can level up in the game and get access to. You're just going to have to put a little bit of work in, and the grind is part of the game. It's a part of every single successful multiplayer game, and this one has a lot of it. As you choose different humans and different clown types, they're going to have their strengths and their weaknesses, and of course we'll talk about that whenever I give you the breakdown on how to play as a clown or how to play as a human. Now, matchmaking is simple, quick. You send an invite to your friends, you can turn crossplay on, you can turn it off. There's also prox chat in the game, which is pretty awesome. So as you're strategizing, if there's a clown or a human that's too close to you, they of course may hear that unless you want to turn prox chat off. If you decide to leave a match, you can choose to either disband that lobby or you can leave altogether. If you play TCM, you know why I point this out. And again, this isn't a bash on TCM, but these are some of the things that I was looking for in this game specifically that I really wanted to mention here. Now, the other option that you have is you can play in a private match with up to 10 people. Now, at the time of recording this, the private matches actually allowed me to level up as well as I was exploring the maps and trying to get some footage for some other videos that I'm working on with this game. All that XP was actually counting. I don't know if they're going to take that away. Heck, I don't know. They may even reset my entire level once the game comes out on Tuesday. I really have no idea, but I think they would change this in the private match. Not too sure, but as of right now, that XP is counting. Now, when you get into a match or before you get into the match, you can set it where you have a preference on whether you want to play as clown or humans, but it's going to randomly choose with each new match. And what I found interesting is that even though there was a limited amount of people that had access to the game over the weekend, I was still able to get into a match very quickly. Now, like I said, not every single match was loaded with 3 versus 7, but those times where we did have 3 versus 7, which was a good amount of the time, there was still some bots that entered the game. And never, not once, did I wait over probably a minute and a half to get into a full match. So once more people have access to this, I imagine the matchmaking is going to be even better. It's really one of the more impressive things I found about the game. There was times where we just got thrown in randomly. You know, there was already a match going on, and they threw us in to try to help out on whatever side we were on. Of course, if I played solo or if I was with a team. So matchmaking, I don't think that's going to be any issue whatsoever. You're not going to be waiting around a whole lot. It was really quick and easy. You want to get a party together, that was super easy as well. Now, you also have challenges. That's going to be a part of your customization. So on the clown and the human side, you're also going to have videotapes or cassettes that you can actually find as a human as you're doing your searching. So that's something else that's just an extra little thing that you can find these recordings and then you can play them back and kind of hear each one of them, which is actually pretty cool. I recommend taking a little bit of time and as you find those cassettes, listen to them because they're pretty interesting. The maps are huge. I mean, there was just a couple of times, literally a couple of times, where I felt like clowns, if I was playing as the humans, of course, when I spawned in, clowns were right on top of me. But most of the time, that was when I just got thrown randomly into a match. The maps are big enough, and I feel like everybody's spread out enough where you're going to have some time in the beginning, which is super crucial as a human, especially when you have nothing to defend yourself with, where you can actually, get some weapons and have the ability to do some looting before you take on the clowns. And of course, you have different play styles as the humans as well. If you choose to rush the clowns, which is something that happened to me and I had the ability to do, fighting back in this game is a part of it. And it was kind of frustrating at first because I'm like, man, as the clowns, you can be overtaken so easily, but that was a design element purposely put in the game. Now, will there be some balance changes eventually down the line? I'm not sure because when you get 2 or 3 humans on you, they can take you out very quickly. They can swing faster than you and they can hurt you way quicker. So there may be some balance changes in the future, but as of right now, if you get a couple of humans around you as a clown, you really gotta play that strategically. You don't want to just kind of jump in where most ASIM games as the killer or as the horror icon, typically you can take them out very quickly, but this game is not set up like that. So looting, of course, is a big part of it. Anytime you see anything with a green underglow, that's either going to be an exit or it's going to be an exit item. You can also see exit items over the top of other players' heads. And when the match first starts, you're going to have an optional meetup spot for all of the victims or the humans. And they're not really victims in this game. They're just humans. And that's actually going to temporarily show you where each one of the exits are. There's also going to be some loot items there as well, sometimes some really good ones. Now, anytime you see anything with a red underglow, that's going to be like guns and like fire axes. Those are going to be the best weapons that you can pick up. Mini games are another big part of this, so when you come across an exit, you're going to have mini games. When you hide away from the clowns, don't just put your controller down and think you're okay. You're also going to have mini games as well. And if you miss those mini games, that's going to alert the clowns that you are around. Of course, stamina is another big part of this. If you start running around, that's going to signal the clowns further and further away. So if you're running full sprint, that's going to give them max visibility on about where you are. If you crouch, you're not going to make any noise. If you walk, you're going to make a little bit of noise. So if they're kind of close to you, they'll still be able to see your location. But if you start full sprinting, then of course, everybody's going to be able to pretty much see where you're pinging. Those pings are just like Friday the 13th, so it's a round circle. Now, of course, there's a lot more that I want to cover playing as a human, but overall, I found that it was pretty enjoyable actually, because you have the ability to fight back. While I like playing more of a hide and seek type of game, that's just how I like these. I knew that if there was one of my fellow humans that was in trouble and taking on a clown, I was ready to jump right in and help them. It was very different in that way. You feel pretty powerful as a human in this game, which is odd because most ASIM horror games are not like that. So that was kind of cool and interesting. And then again, having the ability to have two or three of you kind of partner up and see who has what escape item uh, makes the game fairly enjoyable. And sometimes it made it really quick to escape. But I found that for the majority of the time, I would say the average time I spent in a match was between like 7.5 to maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't these quick, speed through type of matches because everything seemed like it was placed and spread out fairly well, unless you just happened to spawn on top of a couple of escape items, which may have happened once or twice. Overall, we spent a good majority of the time in each one of the games. One thing about the maps too is they are big, sprawling areas of Crescent Cove. So you're going to be able to explore quite a bit. I mean, there was times I found myself in like underground garages and I was like, man, they included this in the game. That's pretty freaking awesome. There's plenty of places to hide. And of course, there's plenty of places that you're going to be kind of exposed, but also, there's going to be bushes or there's going to be trash cans or any number of areas that you can actually hide in. Hell, I even think they have the porta potties in the clown summer camp that you can hide in. The humans have a variety of different escape paths. What I like that they did here is they didn't make it where everybody can use the same escape. It's limited to 3 people per escape. So 3 people on the boat, 3 people on the bridge, 3 people in the bunker. You get the idea. One thing to keep in mind is if you're playing as humans and you're either cocooned for too long, turning you into a human slushy, or you're a part of a clowntality, that is not necessarily the end of that particular game for you. If you decide to stick around, there's actually some pretty fun things you can do. You can choose to watch from the players that are still alive, and then you can play these really cool 80s style retro games to help the players out or retain some of the items that you're going to earn for yourself, because there is actually a resurrection machine as well. And sometimes you can earn some really cool things to give off to players that are trying to make their final escape, or some things that you could retain for yourself. Now, that resurrection machine can be used once in the game, but it's going to bring back everybody who has died up to that point. So if there's just one person that's died, you may want to save it for later, until 2 or 3 or more have actually become victims of the clowns in order to bring those guys back in to help you hopefully escape the clown apocalypse. Now, when you're playing as a human, you have some options as far as distractions. Pretty much everything in your inventory. By the way, you can hold 4 things. One big item, that being a strong weapon, so shotgun or a fire axe or even a stick or a baseball bat, and then 3 other additional items. There's going to be times where you see things randomly appear, and that's going to be players that have passed on to the afterlife that are actually helping you out and playing mini games to give you stuff to hopefully help you escape the clown apocalypse yourself or get you to one of those resurrection machines to bring them back. You have the option of jumping through glass if you want to injure yourself a little bit, but you need to escape in a hurry if you're coming out of a house or going into one, or you can silently do that as well. Just remember that as soon as you choose to silently go through a window, you're going to go through instantly. It's not going to be an animation where it stops and then you go through. As soon as you press and hold the button, you're going through that thing. Also going to be different electronics that you can turn on in some of the houses that will act as a noisemaker and distraction for the clowns. One kind of nice thing too is if another human ends up escaping, it's going to tell you on the screen which route they escaped from. So if it's something like the bridge, then you could make your way to the bridge and escape with them as long as there's not too many people that have crossed it. If it's something like the boat and you miss the boat, well, then you're screwed. But at least you have an idea of where some of the victims may have escaped from, and you may have an opportunity to do the same. Overall, the humans are very powerful and fun to play as. The clowns, I feel like you can get clowned very easy in this game. If you have a human team working together, I see this as being the frustration for a lot of people, and I hope that there might be a little bit of shift in power. I don't want to say that too early because I understand that this game is set up different than other ASIMs, but you can get teamed up on very easily. Now, what I appreciate is when you're playing as a clown, like I said, the matches went on for a really good length of time. They never ended super quickly. So if you get killed in the game, it's not like they're going to be able to escape super quickly unless they're just trolling you, which is going to happen in these types of games. So hopefully the balance there is maybe adjusted a little bit. But overall, I found that playing as the clowns was pretty enjoyable. And it became more enjoyable as I started to level up weapons, where then you become a little bit more formidable. So I almost feel like when you start out as a clown, you're kind of at a disadvantage a little bit. Actually, I think you really are at a disadvantage, to be honest with you. But then as you start to get better weapons, the tides start to shift just a little bit. But you want to make sure that you utilize each one of your weapons and your special abilities. So not only do you have clowntality moves, you have 4 of those that you can choose from. You also have tricks that you can play on the victim so you can lure them in. You also have like a balloon dog that will kind of act like a hound and give you the direction of where the closest human is. You also have fast travel. This is going to be super important for you and your team to use together. As you navigate parts of the map, that's going to open up more areas for you and allow you to traverse pretty much anywhere on the map, but you got to traverse those areas to clear the cotton candy away from the actual map itself. Fast travel, I think it has a 45-second or a 30-second timer. I think it might be 30 seconds, but that's something that you want to use often in order to traverse the map. Again, you're going to get pings whenever humans miss their QuickTime events, and you want to pay attention to those as well. Another thing that you really want to do as the clowns, of course, is hooking up the lackey generators, and that's something you really want to take time to do as well. Getting those lackeys involved is going to help you get those cocoons hooked up even quicker, and they can point out some of the humans for you as well. Now, when you're playing as the clowns, you have a couple of options, both of which are going to have slight ramifications, but this, of course, is dependent upon the type of clown team you have. If you have a team that is trying to get a bunch of cocoons and the lackey generators all leveled up super quickly to initiate the clown apocalypse early, you may not want to use your clowntality on the victims. Whenever you get them down, especially, you can actually cocoon them much quicker, and you may want to do that as opposed to just straight killing them off. Keep in mind, when you're playing as a clown, you have less stamina than the humans, so you need to kind of learn the maps in order to find out the best route you need to take or use your fast travel ability, because very rarely are you going to be able to run in a straight line and keep up with any of the humans, really, especially those that are more athletic. So I found that playing as the clowns was fairly enjoyable, but again, you want to get those guys leveled up before you get too frustrated. And again, it was only certain times where we were just clearly outmatched. We were playing with an entire human team, and at times we would get trolled. That's just kind of the way of it. But just remember that this is a little bit different of an asymmetrical horror game. It's not set up like others. I think of this to be maybe a little bit more goofy as far as the graphics, but overall, I think they are freaking solid. It's running on Unreal Engine 4, and the graphics are incredible. You can change some of the parameters. Overall, though, it just looks really good. The game is a little bit goofy. It does not take itself too seriously. The voice acting, the music, the clowns, the clowntalities, the clownpocalypse, the Terenzi brothers, they nailed every aspect of this game and made sure that it was true to what the movie actually was. And they paid really, really close attention, as you're going to see when I make these videos talking about all of the Easter eggs and things in the game. It's actually pretty incredible. Overall, I think what they did here is actually pretty awesome, and that's without any of the patches. Again, the only issues I really found is sometimes as I was getting attacked by the clowns playing as a human, there were times where I could not run away. Like it just seemed like my joystick would not respond to that. But again, I think those things are going to get fixed fairly quickly, and it didn't happen that often. There were also times when I played as the clown and I just felt like there was absolutely nothing that I could do. Now, communication is key here, so sometimes it's going to be best for you and your clown squad to roll together in order to take on these human teams. So there's little things like that that, you learn along the way. So if you're looking for a fun party game or fun asymmetrical horror game that again doesn't take itself too seriously but has a lot of content right off the rip and a lot of content they plan on adding to it down the line, this is going to be a good buy for you, especially at a $40 price point, which is what it starts at. I think they did an excellent job on the game, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Big thanks to you guys for watching. Again, I'd love to hear your experience. And are you buying the game? What do you think about it so far? Let me know what you think down below. Big thanks to you guys for watching. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.